Welcome to another edition of the post-game wrap. I'm Jarret Johnson, and man, the Red Raiders sure are rolling now as they picked up their third consecutive victory here on this nice little winning streak with a 73-62 win in the Little Apple against Kansas State. Now, that's Kansas State's 10th consecutive loss overall. They've really been struggling this year, but man, I want to share a couple of notes real quick before we get into this game just of how Texas Tech has really dominated. Now, of course, these two teams split the 2019 Big 12 regular season title. They were the teams that finally unseated Kansas on that long run the Jayhawks had of Big 12 dominance. And Kansas State graduated a really nice senior class, an accomplished senior class that year, and Texas Tech lost a lot of players from that team as well. That team that went to the national championship game, but of course they've reloaded a couple times. And, man, Texas Tech is rolling. So the Red Raiders have won 7 of their last 8 games against Kansas State. They split that year that they split the Big 12 conference title. But other than that, I mean, Tech has really dominated this matchup of late. And, like I said, they got the season sweep again this year. So, Kansas State's down right now as Coach Beard has said a couple of times. Kansas State's playing some young guys and all that. And I tell you what, it wasn't just a foregone conclusion that Texas Tech was going to win this game during the game. The Wildcats played Texas Tech tough, or you could say Tech played down to Kansas State, however you want to put it. There was some adversity. Terrence Shannon didn't play in the first half. The Red Raiders said that he was available if needed, if need be, but that basically that he had a minor injury and that he was sitting out. But it was a game time decision. He was sitting out. You could tell Shannon, after he saw it get tight early in the second half, the score, he wasn't having any of it. He went basically to the score table, and Coach Beard, they had a cut to them too, and Coach Beard was kind of, "What are you doing?" And Shannon, he went in and played and he helped steady things, but there were some usual suspects for the Red Raiders who had good games. I want to read their stat lines here, give you an idea for those who didn't see or those who did, to give you those statistics of just how good a game these guys had. Of course, Mac McClung, who's become really one of the best players in the country, certainly in the Big 12. He's definitely a candidate for Big 12 Player of the Year, and he's Texas Tech's leading scorer. He put up 24 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. He did have 5 turnovers, which is not good, but he played really hard. I think, to me, what really got me out of my seat, to be honest, and what Texas Tech basketball is all about. When Terrence Shannon dove on the floor to knock a loose ball forward, and then Mac McClung and a Wildcat both dove face forward to get the ball. McClung came up with it, was able to actually get up off the floor, then grab the ball ahead of him, go in, score, and plus the foul. I mean, if obviously Coach Beard is doing a great job without any any of my suggestions necessarily on the recruiting trail, but if it were me, I was a coach of that team, I would definitely show guys, look, if you're not willing to put forth this kind of effort that our 2 stars are willing to, face dive, scrap on the floor like street dogs, if you're not willing to do that, then, let's not waste any more of each other's time. This isn't the place for you. But if you are willing to do this, if this kind of play is appealing to you, then then you continue the conversation, because that's it. That's what Coach Beard's always talking about with street dogs. That's what they always talk about with giving the maximum effort. And there was no hesitation in either one of those guys, willingness to give up their body for the team. Like I said, against the Kansas State team that Texas Tech should win. I think there were 16-point favorites going into the game. They won by 11, but it was a tougher game than I think the final score indicated. I want to say Shannon, my respect for him went up this game for him going into the game. He obviously doesn't care about his average, doesn't care about any of that stuff. He just wants to win. He only scored 2 points, but I think his presence really calmed and settled the team. They were in control for most of the game after he came in the second half. So, tip of the cap to him. Kevin McCullough didn't start off shooting very well, but he ended up making 3 trays, finished with 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. So he did a lot of stuff. Kind of the same thing for Kyler Edwards, man. He looked very hesitant early, didn't look very good, but he finished with 13 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, and 1 steal. So what, a very good game for Kyler Edwards. His performance in the second half had as much to do with Texas Tech kind of pulling away and taking control as Terrence Shannon had in terms of settling the team down. A couple other guys who really stood out was Tyreek Smith. I mean, I just keep imploring and hoping that Coach Beard plays Reek more, and the more he does, the better he looks out there. He had 5 points, 3 blocks. I thought, Santos Silva, he had he had like 6 points, 8 rebounds, so he did some things, but there were some times I really felt that Reek did a better job against Kansas State's considerable bigs at times in the game. And so Reek, man, he's really coming on. And Clarence Nadolny hit a big shot at the end of the first half and played well overall. So these guys, Agbo hit a 3. They're coming on. They're getting some meaningful minutes in meaningful games, and they're making a meaningful impact. So that's really good for this team moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, I want to kind of frame this season so far, because at one point I talked about how the Red Raiders had a big losing streak in Big 12 play dating back to last year. But now, Texas Tech has won 6 of its last 8 games, all right? 2 of those wins, and 3 in a row, like I said in the beginning of this video, 2 of those wins have come against top 10 opponents, all right? Which top 10 wins for Texas Tech used to come like once every 4 or 5 years maybe. Now you're doing it in the same month or the same stretch of games, same season for sure. It's really impressive what Texas Tech's doing this season, what Coach Beard obviously has done with this program. The 2 losses in that stretch was against undefeated number 2 Baylor, and you gave them, a run for their money. You had a lead in the second half at one point before the Bears pulled away. And then you lost a 1-point game to West Virginia, which you had a double-digit lead on. 2 winnable games, the only blemishes in this stretch of 8 games. Just a really impressive stretch where this team has really come on. I think obviously that big win at LSU, improbable, late game rally was amazing. Gut check against Oklahoma, another kind of gut check against Kansas State. And now, man, you have a chance to avenge that 1-point loss where you had a big lead on West Virginia and you let McBride kind of take over. West Virginia just, was unconscious late. You got to tip the cap to them for some of the plays they made, but Tech gets West Virginia, who I believe is number 17 right now. I don't know what they'll be ranked come Tuesday night, but the Red Raiders host those Mountaineers, who will be ranked after they had a big win over Kansas on Saturday. I think it's 8 p.m. Central Time in Lubbock at the USA United Supermarkets Arena, for those who don't know. Big game. Red Raiders win that game, and it's on. Because, look, they're up to what? I think it's 14-5, 6-4 in Big 12 play. They're in the mix with several of the, the second tier. Texas has fallen down. Baylor's up there undefeated. And then you got like Texas, Oklahoma, who you swept, by the way. Tech, Kansas is around there. I think they may be 6-5 now. Oklahoma State sniffing around that too after a big win over Texas. I think it was a double overtime win over Texas. So, all those teams are packed tight. It'd be huge to beat West Virginia. You don't want to get swept by the Mountaineers, that's for sure. Protect your home court there Tuesday night. All that. Just all those. Your resume for the tournament, which is ultimately what we're talking about probably. So big win, big game coming up. Big win Saturday. Big game coming up. It seems like every game is monumental. Seems to go down to the wire almost. So just exciting stuff. And I think Texas Tech's playing really well, and they're definitely still ascending. They haven't played their best basketball by any stretch, in my opinion. And I'm looking forward to seeing that at some point come to fruition. So with that, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.